What do you do when you're stuck and you're looking to power through?
When I look back at that and think about what my mom went through and what was going on at that time, everything else just seems like a breeze. Everything else is like, this is this struggle feels similar. Like I know this feeling, and I know what happens when I can push through this or get past this part. It's going to be phenomenal on the other side. So that's definitely what keeps me going.
Welcome to the Spartan Up podcast with Joe Sena, founder and CEO of Spartan Race.
We are talking about overcoming obstacles. The same way we teach people to get over obstacles on the course, we will teach you here on the Spartan Up podcast to get over obstacles in your mind.
When Roderick Sewell was born, his mother was told he could spend his life in a wheelchair or have both legs amputated above the knee. She took a leap and she chose possibility. At the age of 2, he took his first steps on prosthetic legs. Today, he's completed the IRONMAN World Championships in Kona and is a member of the US Paralympic Swim Team. He tells Joe his story. This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Durolane, a single injection that may provide up to 6 months relief from osteoarthritis knee pain. Risks can include general knee pain and pain at the injection site. You can see full prescribing information at durolane.com.
Joe Sena here, founder and CEO of Spartan, and here we are on Spartan Up, the podcast where we try to rip people off the couch. And this guy, talk about inspiration. I should let him tell you the story, but double amputee, can I say that? Is that the right?
Above knee.
Just above the knee. So technically that's even a tougher, more difficult challenge. And this guy's got a big smile on, like you can't see him for those listening, but like no big deal. And here we are complaining that the Wi-Fi doesn't work, right? And Roderick is like, are you kidding me, dude? No big deal, easy day. So what happened? You were young and you were born with some issue that required this.
So I had missing tibias in both of my legs, and so pretty much my amputation was congenital. I had my legs amputated when I was 1.5 years, and I didn't learn how to walk until I got my first pair of prosthetics, and I was about 2.5, maybe 3 years old.
So here we were, little kids, right? We were upset that we weren't getting the right gifts at Christmas time, and you were just hoping for some prosthetics. You didn't grow up in a super wealthy household. My understanding is mom had to basically sell everything to get you those prosthetics.
She was at the time she had separated from my dad when I was born, and she was working for the Navy for 20 plus years, and she was well off. She had her own house, her own car. What it was with my prosthetics, the older I got, the more expensive they got. So when I had the baby prosthetics, it was fine. We made it work. But the kids are growing constantly. So for me, I was getting new sockets, new prosthetics every 2-3 times a year. And so it got to the point where, at that time, I was 6-7 years old. Prosthetics for me with labor and parts was about $30,000 a piece. So for one leg, it was about $30K. And my mom, although she was making a decent income, nothing in that region. And her insurance that she had through her job at the Navy didn't have anything that got her any kind of durable medical equipment. So she wasn't able to get prosthetics for me with her insurance. So the best thing she could think of was, I'm going to quit my job, file for unemployment, get basic insurance so that I can get durable medical equipment for my child and he'll be able to walk. Huge sacrifice that she did, and is one of the best things she could have did for me. I've been on prosthetics all my life, and that's a blessing that a lot of amputees, they don't have. It's something that a lot of amputees can't say. There's a lot of people who are in wheelchairs or just don't have anything that have to go without and just find a way to exist as they are. And because of her sacrifice, I was able to just grow and walk. And it came with a price, it came with a cost. Eventually, I remember to this day, we had our house and everything was in it. And it went from that to my mom sold the car. She's, moving out the house. We're moving to an apartment. And I remember leaving the house with me on her back, and we're going to the bus stop so that we can go to our next apartment. And it was pretty much downhill from there. But it, it was one of those things where she took a leap of faith and just relied on faith and just constantly sacrificed to get me what I needed.
You got to hand it to moms. Moms all over, not just your mom, but that's a tremendous sacrifice. But I guess that's what you do for your children. That's what I would do. That's what you would do,
Mm-hmm.
and truly inspirational. If you're listening or you're watching, please stop complaining about the silly things in life. Right? Look what mom went through. Look what you went through. But you didn't even skip a beat. I mean, you're in the game. You did an Ironman recently. Like most people wouldn't even do an Ironman, and they haven't had gone through half of what you've gone through. And you're like, no big deal. What are you doing next? You're going to Mars with Elon Musk? Like, what's Ironman?
So yeah, I did do the Ironman in 2019. My first full Ironman, and right now I'm actually training for the Paralympics in swimming and cycling. With everything going on with COVID, it's kind of tough right now to get to races and to get classified. With the Paralympics, they class you based off your disability. So there's a lot of finite opportunities to get classed and to race. But I'm staying optimistic, and I'm trying my best to just keep training hard and look towards something else. Look to the future and not necessarily be down or upset or let my mental crumble because we don't know. There's so much push about the Paralympics, but there's still a chance that it won't happen. It's just us being truly optimistic. So yeah, we'll see.
It is amazing, right? What your mind can do. My son is a wrestler, and last night, after 8 days of trying to take a few pounds off because he's got to wrestle at a certain weight, he was just miserable going into practice. He's telling his mother, my wife, when I can't hear him, that maybe he'll take up a different sport. This is just too hard. And he goes into practice and he loses 6 pounds in practice because they practiced so hard last night. And all of a sudden, he's happy. And he's back into wrestling. And so I said to him early this morning, I said, isn't the mind amazing, Jack? His name is Jack. I said, because nothing physically changed. Matter of fact, you were more tired coming out of practice than you were going in. But when you looked on the scale, you became happy. And so isn't it amazing if you're listening or watching this to just be able to do that on your own and not need something to happen? You just have to decide to be happy. You have to decide to be positive. And it sounds like that's how you live your life.
For sure. It's definitely a choice. And I think just like with your son, it's that consistency. It might not come when you want it. It might not come necessarily when you need it. But if you continue and you train your mind to understand that this is what it takes and this is the route that I need to go on, or the direction I need to go, you'll be surprised. You will surely surprise yourself.
What's the best advice your mom ever gave you?
She was big on faith. She was big on believing in myself. And I think because of what we went through, keeping that in mind, to have that character and have that understanding that I can do anything. She didn't want me to feel like my disability would stop me from living a normal life. Although in her own mind, she had never seen a double above knee amputee living a normal life. So she was very much just pushing towards believing that I could be just like everybody else.
And clearly you've exceeded everybody else. So she was right. But I think that's a big lesson we could give all of our kids. That I had a guy say to me once, Joe, why is the sky the limit? Why can't we go beyond the sky? Like, there are no limits. Just keep pushing. Now my son will say to me, but Dad, I can't fly. No, you can't fly. But the Wright brothers probably couldn't fly either until they figured out how to build a plane. So you could pretty much do anything, and you've learned that. You inspire all of us. What's next?
I actually have a race coming up in Texas next weekend, and it's a swim meet. This is just to qualify for trials, Paralympic trials. I'll be driving there, racing just a 100-meter breaststroke, which is my main event. And then once I get a time there, the next weekend, I'll be flying to Belgium. There is a cycling race out there for the Paralympics, which I will go there, get internationally classed. I'm very new to cycling. I didn't even consider cycling until I put in all this training towards the Ironman in 2019. And I use a hand bike to ride. I have a hand cycle, so I put in a lot of hours on that bike because that was my weakest. You know, swimming and running I've been doing most of my life, but I didn't own a bike 3 months before the Ironman, so I put in a lot of hours on there. And I think because I put in so much time, I just fell in love with the sport. So now this is my first cycling race that I'm going to in a whole another country. I'll get internationally classed, and then we have trials, Paralympic trials, June 17th.
That's the big league. So you got a new sport, cycling. I love cycling, by the way. And someday we're going to get you to Spartan when you're ready for it. You're not tough enough yet for Spartan, but if you're tough enough, we'll have you. We like to, you know, a lot of Ironman athletes that's good training, basic training for Spartan, and then you come to the dark side and you do the tough shit, you know. Like, what do you do when you're stuck and you're looking to power through those moments, especially on, you know, a new sport like cycling, and you're like, what the hell am I doing out here? I'm not good at this. Like, how do you power through?
We'll be right back to this interview, but first a message from today's sponsor, Durlane. You know that knee pain can really slow you down. Sometimes that knee pain is due to osteoarthritis, a disease that affects some 14 million Americans. Learn about osteoarthritis knee pain and how to alleviate it at oakneepainrelief.com. You'll find information there about non-surgical, non-opioid treatments for osteoarthritis knee pain that may help delay the need for knee surgery. One treatment you'll find there is Durlane, a single injection that may provide up to 6 months of relief from osteoarthritis knee pain. It's indicated for the treatment of mild to moderate osteoarthritis knee pain when conservative treatments have not worked. Risks can include general knee pain and pain at the injection site. Full prescribing information is at Durlane.com. Spartans say no to limits. You can learn more at oakneepainrelief.com. That's oakneepainrelief.com. All right, back to the interview.
How do you power through?
It's definitely a lot of internal work. I reflect, I take a step back, and first off, I keep this kind of gratitude mentality of I should appreciate the fact that I'm on my bike in the first place. I should appreciate the fact that I'm able to do this. I have the freedom to do this, because there's people that wish they can do something like this, that wish they had the time and freedom to live life this way. And, you know, due to life, like it's tough, you know, and I make sure to acknowledge the blessings and have fun with it first. But also, you know, when I look back, I think about the struggles that my mom and I have been through, that I've been through. When things were the worst, I was at my youngest. You know, I remember we went from jumping from apartment to apartment to living out of shelters for a few years. And, you know, I was just down because I wasn't competing in sports. I wasn't doing anything but school. And I was still this kid with this amputee, this disability, this amputee kid who didn't know why he was different or how different he was. And at the same time, I met the Challenge Athletes Foundation, which once I met them, I just found this whole community of people similar to me where I could be myself. I could go out there and ride a hand cycle. I can run on running blades. I can play wheelchair basketball. And swimming actually came later because I was terrified of the water. But once I got those lessons, I fell in love with that too. And just looking back, I think there's a lot of things I went through as a child that people as an adult just wouldn't want to go through or can't even fathom. And like you said, like when I look back at it, you know, my struggle was something, but if now that I'm older, I'm 28 now, I'll be 29 this month. I can't imagine being a parent and having a child who needs special care, special equipment, and also living at a shelter, having people threaten to call child services on you to take your child away because they don't think you're fit to raise your child in these environments. And all you're doing is sacrificing and loving for this kid. And you're doing it alone. You know, you don't really have family or friends that can truly help you on a regular basis. So when I look back at that and think about what my mom went through and what was going on at that time, everything else just seems like a breeze. Everything else is like, this struggle feels similar. Like I know this feeling, and I know what happens when I can push through this or get past this part. It's going to be phenomenal on the other side. So that's definitely what keeps me going.
I call it changing your frame of reference. Basically, the idea is if you've done something really hard or you've seen something really hard, in other words, if you grew up in Russia or you grew up like yourself with 2 prosthetics and, living in a tough situation, like you said, then these other things that are manufactured toughness, like the races you're talking about or anything that's challenging, you're like, hang on a second, I got this. And whereas if you grew up in a very pampered environment and you don't have a place in your mind to go to, well, then this is all new. These tough things, you don't know how to deal with it. So I tell people it's so important, look, if you didn't grow up in a tough situation, to put yourself in tough situations so you can change your frame of reference. So that's exactly what you're describing.
And I would even say that, life is going to do it for you. If you haven't gone through some kind of struggle, you're going to, and it all comes with as we age and grow and develop. And I think it's good to put yourself in those struggle situations because you're going to be better on the other end and be able to handle those situations a lot better, like you're saying. And it's really just, it's a metaphor for life, that constant just fight until the end.
Fight till the end. That's your tagline. You got to get that as a back. Fight to the end. So you and I are connected through a few organizations. We're connected through CAF, right? Challenge Athletes Foundation. Why don't we give them a plug? Tell them what they've done for you.
For sure. Challenge Athletes Foundation is a foundation based on giving people with disabilities the equipment and gear they need to live a healthy and active lifestyle. I got started with CAF when I was 10 years old. Oh, no, sorry, 8. I was 8 years old. And I met my buddy, Rudy Garcia Tolson, who was the first other double above knee amputee I met. So for me, the only time I saw amputee was looking in the mirror. And so when I saw Rudy, this other kid like myself, walking on these colorful prosthetics, I'm like, wow, that's amazing, but it's cool to see from a different point of view. And Rudy at the time, he was already a superstar. He's already said that he's going to the Paralympics for swimming. And I'm just surrounded by all these athletes, all these people with different disabilities, whether they're in a chair or an amputation, whatever it is, that are doing something to be active and that really changes their lives. And for me, that's what I needed. My mom and I were living out of shelters, going through the worst, but at that same time, we got started with CAF. So we were getting the best. And it's hard to explain, but you can imagine, if you can picture my mom and I catching the train and catching the bus back home to our shelter, to our cot with a little curtain, and just laughing and smiling and talking about the day we just had playing wheelchair basketball or wheelchair rugby. And the fact that her son had this community and the fact that she had never seen anything like this. This is not something that was everywhere. This was very much a small knit community, and CAF has definitely grown. So I've been with CAF for over 20 years now, and it's come full circle. I remember a time when Rudy and I were the first kids, and now there's tons of kids that look up to us to see that anything truly is possible, to see that our amputation, our disability, we're proud of it. We don't let it stop us from living life, and that we can also exceed expectations that are set on us. So it's really done a lot to change my mindset, and it's changed a lot of lives, whether they were disabled or able-bodied. It's definitely affected a lot of people, and it's gonna continue to grow for sure.
Amazing organization doing amazing things. The other group that we're connected to is Black with Endurance podcast, right? They connected us, so we want to give them a plug. Lonnie over there, and I don't know anything we missed. You're probably writing a few books right now or doing a movie. You're probably an action hero figure.
Step by step. I am working on a book. All my time is kind of set to the Paralympic training right now. I'm doing doubles pretty much every day, if not every other day. And once games are over, then I can sit down and really put more focus into the book. and then the movie, and then down the line. But right now it's just Paralympic training, something I've been working on for 13 years now with swimming, and then 1 year for cycling.
All right, one remaining question that is just burning inside the whole community is what advice do you have for any kind of athlete, able-bodied, Paralympic, any athlete out there? What would you recommend to play at the peak of their game?
I would say consistency and changing of the mindset. It's easy to let our failures or our struggles break us down and sometimes cause us to want to quit. But it's in those moments that make the people. It's in those moments that can make you be either that individual who gave it all up or succeeded and really change the way that you see life and change the way that you see yourself. So I would say, you know, we talk about disabilities and I'm perfectly fine with being physically disabled, but if my mental state was the part that was broken, that would be the real thing holding me back, not my disability. So the true disability is a negative mindset.
I love that sentence. We got to make, that's a second t-shirt you're going to be selling. A true disability is a negative mindset. I love it. All right, you're the man. I'll see you at the Olympics.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Spartan Up Podcast. Spartan Up is your partner in resilience for mind, body, and spirit. We're here 3 days every week. Tuesdays, you can find Joe Sena, founder and CEO of Spartan, interviewing biohackers, business leaders, authors, and athletes. Thursdays and Saturdays, catch episodes from our DECA, Endurance, Trail, Combat, and La Ruta series. Do you know someone who needs a little nudge? Maybe they could use some motivation, tactics to be stronger, healthier, happier, more successful. Tell them about our show. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment. We want to know who's watching and who's listening. Thanks. See you next time. This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Durolane, a single injection that may provide up to 6 months relief from osteoarthritis knee pain. Risks can include general knee pain and pain at the injection site. You can see full prescribing information at durolane.com.